Ancient because it traces its history back 300 years. Modern because it embraces and is transformed by technology. Lacquer thread sculpting, though, remains at its heart true to tradition. But what are the skills a master craftsman needs? Find out in Lacquer Thread Sculpting, part of our unique handicrafts series. South Putuo Temple in Xiamen dates from the Tang Dynasty, some 1,200 years ago. It contains something that is seen nowhere else in China. Casual observers of the 4 Heavenly Kings statues may not notice anything unusual about them, other than the bright colors, with the gold in particular catching the eye. But closer inspection reveals something surprising. The robes and armor are created by a bas-relief of fine lines and strange bumps. The secret of how this effect was achieved rests with Cai Shui Kuang, a 12th generation master of the art of lacquer thread sculpture. Cai Shui Kuang is a Xiamen-based artist who has earned himself numerous titles. Among them, he has been named as the inheritor of part of the nation's intangible cultural heritage. Cai is 73 years old, but he remains in good health. Whenever he has the time, he visits the temple to see his greatest works.
这个是受南普陀的委托，在1981年10月就来重新塑造南普陀4大金刚。当时南普陀是因为厦门有蔡氏七仙雕这个品种，所以我们的设计理念就是以厦门七仙雕工艺来完成它。 这种四大金刚在全国来说，大部分都是线条的表现都是用立粉这一方面，但是因为厦门有这种线条的技艺，所以我们整个表现它的盔甲、龙袍或者各个这一种细部都是用极限线条把它完成，所以觉得富丽堂皇。这种技艺在全国还只有厦门有。所以四大金刚，厦门四大金刚应该是说全国在装潢设计方面可能有它的特色。
The old man explains that his art involves decorating a statue with threads of lacquer, or delineating a pattern with them. His home contains many examples of his work.
现在我们看的这些作品是在1985年开始做的，完成于1997年，大概10多件。
The small pieces are all characters from history or legend. And they all have something else in common. Their fabulous attire is like fine embroidery. But the details are produced with lacquer threads, from the body and the head of the dragon to the flowers, plants, and clouds, and even the intricate armor. The old man is especially proud of a red vase. It's called Soul of the Dragon and was made using an innovative technique. The 4 golden dragons were all produced by lacquer threads imposed on a porcelain vase. Cai Shui Kuang's eyesight is failing, so he leaves it to his son, Cai Shedong, to demonstrate how the effect was achieved. Cai Shedong began learning these skills as a teenager. He is now a master craftsman in his own right, with over 20 years of experience. It's a handicraft that's both ancient and modern. Ancient because it traces its history back 300 years. Modern because it embraces and is transformed by technology. Lacquer thread sculpting, though, remains at its heart true to tradition. But what are the skills a master craftsman needs? Find out in Lacquer Thread Sculpting, part of our unique handicraft series.
「制作器械的第一个步骤就是和漆泥，这个我左手拿的这个是天然的大漆跟桐油调和的第一种原材料，然后和上太白粉，我们就开始可以第一步的搅和漆泥。这个先把大漆和桐油倒在这个小碗里面，然后再把 太白粉加上去，这个是第一个步骤哈。然后加完以后，开始用专用的工具下去搅和。搅和到一定程度以后，我们就要开始捶打这个漆泥了啊。
It takes more than 2 hours to complete the beating. The longer it's beaten, the better the shape. The lacquer clay will also last longer and be less prone to hardness and cracking. After repeated beating, the lacquer clay turns pink.
当漆泥锤到一定的硬度和韧性以后，这块漆泥就基本上是可以形成。
These days, the lacquer clay is routinely mixed with titanium dioxide and paints. 200 years ago, however, craftsmen would scour ruined houses, looking for old and soft pottery bricks. They would soak them in a huge vat for several days before grinding them into a pulp. Further soaking would leave the fine residue floating and the large chunks sinking. The finest powder would be collected in a very fine sieve, which would be combined with the lacquer to produce lacquer clay. But this was a very time and labor-consuming process. These days, pottery bricks are no longer available. Yet the old technique is still fondly remembered by the craftsmen of today.
搓漆线是我们漆线雕的第2道工序啊。我们有这一套工具，首先是由一个下板跟一个上板2个工具。首先我们是用上板掌握力度，扭动，让它线条慢慢形成。它这种线条能搓成各种各样的粗细。 搓的最细的线条可以已经接近头娃的那个细度。
The process may look simple, but actually demands a high level of skill. Lacquer clay is very flexible and malleable. The slightest miscalculation of strength will leave the thread's thickness uneven. With the threads ready, the craftsman will wrap them around a chopstick, rather like rolling yarn into a ball. An uneven force must be applied, otherwise the threads may snap or be squashed. Nor may they be wrapped too loosely, otherwise they may fall off the stick. Next, the threads are lined up in their places. Chai's favorite subject is the dragon. In honor of the Year of the Dragon, he's going to produce a 9-dragon plate.
这爬龙参是吧？
对，龙参的底。
Tai has a special set of tools for making a dragon. The body shape is identical to the form popular during the Qing dynasty. The lines of lacquer threads create the contours of the body.
龙参制作完以后，那下来的一道工序就是得装龙鳞。装龙鳞首先要用到的是这一把龙鳞印。龙鳞印它的底下有龙鳞的图案在里面。好，我们现在就开始装龙鳞。
Gently pressing on the lacquer clay forms a tiny dragon scale. One by one, these scales are placed on the dragon's body. The process takes Chai Shudong 4 hours to complete. We've made a rough count. There are more than 1,000 scales on the dragon's body, which is 20 centimeters in length.
现在龙鳞已经弄好了，那下一步就是制作龙头。制作龙头首先得把龙头的几个主要的位置先固定好，然后就开始用线条盘绕。
Slowly and very carefully, he releases the thread from the chopstick. Using a small brush, he presses it into place. Different craftsmen uncoil the threads differently, some energetically, others more cautiously. The craftsman must remain composed and focused. The slightest distraction can cause him to make a mistake. It's not long before the dragon's head takes shape. The many twisted threads give the beast a powerful and solemn demeanor.
等到把整个龙头盘绕完整以后，装上眼睛，这一个龙头就算已经是完整了。
He will add the paws and auspicious clouds, along with 8 small dragons surrounding it. It will take 3 days to complete. It's a handicraft that's both ancient and modern. Ancient because it traces its history back 300 years. Modern because it embraces and is transformed by technology. Lacquer thread sculpting, though, remains at its heart true to tradition. But what are the skills a master craftsman needs? Find out in Lacquer Thread Sculpting, part of our unique handicraft series.
这个盘子器械制作完成以后，首先得让它晾干5至6天，等器械完全干了以后，就下去的步骤就要开始上安精油。安精油它是由大漆和桐油2种成分组成的。上完安精油以后，要等它再晾干6至7个钟头，然后才能贴上金箔，这样安精丸的效果才会亮。
The coating process is extremely tedious. Each piece of foil is only 1 square inch in size and is very thin. They must be applied one by one. It will take at least 200 pieces to complete this dragon plate. Chai uses a hairbrush to press the foil and threads together. Once the excess is removed, the foil painting is done. One more step needs to be carried out. The shijin, or washing gold. A tiny brush is used to brush away any unused foil. This must be done with extreme care. The 9-dragon plate is now ready. Glittering and magnificent, it is a fine example of the lacquer thread sculptor's art. In 1981, the 3rd year after China introduced the reform and opening, the authorities at South Putuo Temple decided to have the 4 Heavenly Kings statues rebuilt. They had been destroyed during the Cultural Revolution. Chai Shui Kwang was the natural choice for the task. But the sculptures were on a scale never attempted by lacquer thread artists before. The challenge was enormous, and it took him 2 years to complete the statues, each 4.5 meters tall. The government has added lacquer thread sculpting to the country's national intangible cultural heritage. The old Xiamen Arts and Handicrafts Factory has now been reborn as the Wei Yi Lacquer Thread Sculpting Company. In the new era, the skills of this old art have become more advanced.
72年，我父亲开始创作的时候。 因为当时的社会环境，他只能在白瓷和蛋壳很少的胚体上面创作。到了改革开放以后，胚胎的品种丰富了，我们能在玻璃上面、石头上面、紫砂上面，包括脱胎机器上面，创作我们新的图案。
Some of Chai Shui Kwang's finest works are on display in his own museum. lacquer thread designs, whatever vehicle they are carried on, embody a traditional craft, yet they also possess a modern aesthetic.
我觉得我们所谓说创新什么，并不是指说以前古代人做过，我们现在不做，其实是什么都可以做，但是在这个美学上面要下一点功夫，就是怎么去调整，让它有疏密对比、缓减对比，它这样会更有这种审美的价值。
Light playing on shadow and dreamlike colors characterize traditional colored glass. But in the era of modern production methods, is there a place for the simple tools and individual expertise of the traditional craftsman? And what is the significance of the pomegranate to one master of colored glassmaking? Find out in Colored Glassmaking, part of our unique